we are.
Here it is. How
Hello,
you doing,
sir.
Ara?
Doing all right. It took us 90 minutes to set up a Zoom meeting. I guess it's been that long.
Well, we don't really use Zoom very often,
Not at
so
all. Not on a daily basis for the last 10 months.
no. So it's not like we would know what to do.
Well, I'm on my second computer and a different audio setup. So hopefully this should work now.
Yeah,
But
yeah. It sounds good. It sounds much better than it was before.
that's good.
Just a weird clippy thing. I don't know. I don't know what that was. How would you describe what that was?
It was definitely breaking up. The
Mm,
signal was breaking up for some reason. So maybe it was a Wi-Fi issue, but I don't know. I
uh,
don't know.
I don't know. But now it's fixed. So this brings us to our first episode since May.
Quite some time.
Wow. Wow. May the 4th, actually. May the 4th be with you was apparently, back then it was, we still didn't really know what was going to happen with COVID, whether or not we would still be in the same kind of situation. Plenty of people have decided to pretend that it doesn't exist and just go out and do things, which is great. It's great. But one thing is for sure. Um, our last video was in May, and then we took a hiatus,
Hiatus, a little bit of a break.
a little bit of a break
for
for
the for
no,
the for the layperson, a little bit of a break.
I, you know, I don't even remember why. I, it's not like we weren't doing well. I mean, we were
I
making the best
think
of the situation.
I think yeah, it was never even a conversation where we said let's just stop doing it. I think we
No.
just kind of reached this point where we literally just ran out of things to talk about because nothing was happening. um, but yeah, and hopefully we'll have more to talk about now that it's been 9 months, but not much more, just a few things.
Couple things. Yeah, I do think, you know what? Not to be, but like to be realistic. I think one of the things that happened, at least on my in my thought process, was um, in May, near the end of May, and then in June, there was a lot of like civil unrest, and I think at that point I was kind of like, well, you know, I I I take that very seriously, and like our show is generally supposed to be more fun oriented, and I think I was just thinking like,
It's
I
supposed to be an entertaining show, not always,
yeah,
but it's supposed to be.
right, and I just kind of felt like, I don't know if there's a time and a place for this right now, um because like, it just didn't feel necessarily right to have like a, hey, we're gonna pretend that this doesn't exist,
Mhm.
so let's just have a fun show and talk about the same old. But now, I think both you and I were like, we just need to do this because it's been a while.
Well, we had talked recently about bringing the show back in some sort of visual manner. I mean, not that this isn't visual, but something aside from doing just the podcast. And we had talked about shooting things independently, and I even started writing some stuff. I had some ideas.
Mhm.
Um, we just didn't get around to it. But as far as the state of the show, the State of the Union address, we are trying to come back. We want to come back and actually start shooting things. Obviously,
Mhm.
we would love to be able to do it together in the same room. That who knows when that's going to happen, but I think after today, now that we're just kind of jumping back into it, I think we can start shooting things independently and putting things together. We just need to come up with some ideas and figure out where we're going because a lot of what we did was based on Hollywood and pop culture, and a lot of that is kind of up and down right now,
Yeah.
especially Hollywood, which is I'm sure something we'll talk about today. But
Hmm. Yeah.
so yeah, I mean our we have seen one another a few times, we should say, here and
Hmm.
there,
Yeah.
socially distanced, but
Right.
yeah, it's been quite some time, and it has not been the same. Even just doing the podcast, it's fun. It's at least we're doing something.
Mhm.
It's been long enough where we could do this and have good things to talk about, but at some point we got to start shooting something and making our little stories again.
Yeah.
So
Well, I had this thing because for so much has happened. You pretty much know everything that's been going on, in my life. So Kelly and I had moved in between, like when we had our show last and now, which I recommend. Moving during a pandemic, interesting to say the least. Um,
I mean, you didn't move far,
we
to
didn't
be
move
honest,
far, to be honest, right down the stairs.
but
It was a short move. Um, but having moved into our new place, what I really wanted to talk about was how, like, now we have more of a bar area. And we had talked about beverages before. We talked about concoctions, different things about like kind of drinks that we were making. And in the bar area, it's themed. So for Halloween, it was like Halloween type theme with like skeletons, and we didn't do cobwebs. It's fun, but skeletons and skulls and like some purple and orange lights, things like that. And then when we get into Thanksgiving, more of more earth tones, which work really well with all of the brown liquor we had with the lights behind it,
right.
reflective. Now it's all decked out for Christmas. So there was that thought where I would be at the bar and you would be where on a
Uh,
ship?
The story, yeah, the story was you. I guess the storyline would have been that when the pandemic started,
Mm-hmm.
we, the Honey Wagon Magic Hour studios had to shut down for obvious reasons, and my character disappeared or fled the country for unknown reasons, and then so then it would open up with you at Andrew's bar, this bar that you had tried to open during the beginning of the pandemic after you realized that Hollywood wasn't coming back. And then
Right.
you get a phone call and it's from me and I'm on this boat and you're like, oh, did you go away because of the pandemic? And I have no idea what you're talking about. Just that
Mm-hmm.
kind of usual silliness.
Mm-hmm.
And in that video, the idea was to explore, well, what do we do in this post pandemic or soon to be post pandemic world? What do we make the show about? Do we even have a studio anymore? So it was going to kind of explore those options, those areas. But again, didn't finish writing it. I have two different versions. One version, YouTube actually called you looking for me because I owe them money. Far as the opposite of monetization, we're so bad that we actually owe YouTube money and not the other way around.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
there are a couple of ideas I was playing with. Um, but just never finished it. And I am having, not that they are a sponsor, although they could be. I want to mention Pabst Blue
Oh,
Ribbon hard coffee, not good. I wanted to try it. It basically tastes like a White Russian, um, but it almost has like this weird Reese's flavor to it. This weird kind of, I don't know. There's no peanut butter in there, but I taste peanut butter for some reason, which would normally not be a bad thing. But it doesn't really know what it wants to be, I guess, is what I'm saying.
so it's coffee, beer. I mean, is it beer at
There's
all?
no beer. It's just it says hard coffee, so it's like a hard, like it's like a 5% White Russian.
Okay.
It's really really sweet. And I don't like sweet things that much, but
Yeah, yeah.
figured
I
I'd
mean,
I'd try it on the air. So
well, thank you for your sponsorship and your ringing endorsement
it
of.
might make a good it might make a good mixer actually if you cut it
Okay,
with a coffee or something else.
that sounds good.
But on its own, not really doing it for me.
I do like the Caucasians. I do like those. I've only had maybe two um, this year. Um, Kelly and I do have to go out and do like some last minute shopping before the break. Dangerous going shopping though, really dangerous.
Yesterday was the first time I went to Ralph's since we entered this second lockdown, or
Okay.
whatever number it is. We've just been ordering and having groceries delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, especially because we're both working from home and we're always here, so it's been actually pretty convenient. It's not that expensive to have it delivered, and we just feel better. But I had to run out and grab a few things yesterday, and I mean, I went early at like 9 a.m., so there's no line.
Yeah.
And I don't buy liquor there anymore, so I don't have to wait in line. I just go to the self checkout. So, um, but yeah, uh, we're off. I'm off for 2 weeks, as you know,
Yeah.
which is nice. So this is our first kind of nice break in a long time. So just trying to stock up and, just not going out unless it's absolutely necessary. So
Yeah. Yeah. When we go shopping, we tend to go to like Trader Joe's more often than not because they still, for the most part, are doing uh, how can you put it? Like they restrict how many people are
yeah,
in the
like
store.
35% capacity or something.
Yeah, so doing that, and that was that's been good, and they have a lot of food there. I mean, as far as shortages, I mean, it's nothing like it was back in March
No, no.
at all, and as most people probably know. But also too, if we do have to go to Ralph's, they were doing at least by us, they were doing kind of restricted entrance. The capacity 35%. But as of recently, they're just kind of like they don't really care. There's just like as many people go in there. So if I do need to go in there, because Kelly hasn't gone there for a minute, but if I do go in there, it's usually either very early or very late, and
Hmm.
there's no one in there, so it's fine. But yeah, it's just that's the way that it is right now.
Yeah,
So, but
it'll be
it'll be over at some point, whatever that
well,
means.
vaccines are rolling out, so it's a start, I guess. It's something.
Yeah, well, in true like vaccine form, I'm actually having someone come here today and give me the vaccine on camera for
Wow.
everyone to see.
Not
Uh,
for corona, but for shingles. So
Shingles, mumps, measles, typhoid,
get those all out of the way.
the regulars, right? Um, yeah, so we're gonna do that. My arm is gonna be swollen just from the amount of needles. I'm gonna ask them if they can just put them all into one shot. Just
It's
give
like
me.
a virus cocktail.
Yeah, it'll be the Long Island of vaccines,
Gets a
but
bad rap.
it does, which
That'll
is
get you.
unfair.
It'll get you out on the dance floor. So, as we all know.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to that. Maybe one of the first things we could talk about is the Mandalorian and how that his second season has finished. Um, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I enjoy the Mandalorian as a series. I don't know how many people would care. I would say that this would probably. There you go.
Sorry.
Is this thing on?
Adjusting my view and then hitting the microphone. It's been a long time.
It has been. It kind of clunky. McClunky, actually, if you think about it. If you catch
McClunky, isn't
that.
that the cop from Godfather?
Uh,
McClunky.
what was his name? McCluskey. Oh,
Yeah.
um, I want to
Originally
talk about.
McClunky.
I want to talk about that too. I'll tell
We
you
didn't
something
even talk
about
about
Godfather.
Godfather 3. Yeah.
I just watched it yesterday.
Oh no.
I swear to God.
Did
I
they
was
fix
like,
all the problems?
okay, so I haven't watched that one. I know that there's the new cut and the new edit, and I was thinking like I'd be very interested to see that because sorry, Star Wars. It's not that I don't like Godfather 3. I think that there's some pretty good things in there, but it does follow 1 and 2, which is perhaps a bit unfair to Godfather 3. It also is so far removed. It just
And
feels
it's
like a
so
different
far.
movie.
It's so. I mean, there was what 18 years or 15 years between it.
Something 16, whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's just so far removed. Like you realize, like I miss Tom Hagen.
He should. They could have put him in there. I
Yeah,
guess he probably turned it down. I would imagine, but
it was a money dispute. They they lowballed him,
Yeah.
and he was upset. He was like, "Look, I'm not getting what I think I should be, making for this,"
It's
and
not the 70s anymore, guys.
it was just such a shame that Godfather 3, again, great that they can have Pacino, and I think Pacino's fine. I mean, he shows him broken down and everything like that.
Hmm.
Um, Oddly enough, the Sofia Coppola stuff. I mean, she is the Anakin of the Godfather, movies. She just brings
So
it down.
the best part of it. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, brings it down to a more reasonable level. That's maybe our takeaway for that. No, I mean,
Hmm.
I didn't mind her as much this last time. Um, I think because I finally accepted, like, look, she just doesn't deliver these things in a way that's like believable. It's like she's just reading it.
I like what's his name? Jerry Garcia. He's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And is it Andy?
Andy,
Andy.
yeah, yeah.
What was yeah, he has that one line and he was probably like it's his best line in the movie and he goes, Joey Zaza when he shoots the
Yeah,
guy
he
in the
shoots
street.
him. He's like,
Yeah.
Zaza. And it's like, all right, he's just having fun. Like, it's fine. He's fine. It's fine. That's the trademark. We should just change everything to that. But I don't know. I didn't hate it. I want to see the new version of it because they say, yeah, it really improves it. Although I have heard other people say it's the same movie.
They added 20 more minutes to the opera scene. So
Yeah, they added 20 minutes of
he
the
put it
opera
all
scene.
back in. Yeah.
I need to add this all back. But it's what it is. I don't know. I watched it. I was interested to see it. It's just collecting dust on the shelf,
Hmm.
and I wanted to like try it out again. So it's kind
It's
of like
fair.
taking out an album that you hadn't heard. It's kind of like it's not their best, but let's just give it another go.
Sure.
By no means is it like it's not Saint Anger or anything
So
like
it's
that.
I was gonna say it's the load of the Godfather catalog.
You know what? There's
Or the
not.
reload. Yeah.
There's some cool aspects in there.
It's the Ain't My Bitch of Godfather movies.
Yeah, it is. That's a good one. I like that.
That's how you open a record. I know when I first got that and I flipped it over and was like, "Ain't my bitch." What does that mean? Is this real?
Well,
Oh
they
God,
got a dog.
that was a bad day. That was a bad day.
um, it was a weird time. It was mid '90s.
Yeah, it's true.
They had to figure things out. Um, but okay. Second, trying
Hmm.
to go back. Mandalorian. All right. Um, I really enjoyed it. I want to say spoilers just because.
Sure. Well, I can tell you my spoiler story really quickly. I spoil it for myself
Yeah.
because I'm an idiot. And we had been we had gone to Arizona to go see Sarah's mom, my wife's mom, for a week.
Yeah.
And so we were 2 episodes behind. And so when we came back, I had just seen or I'd read, it was like, oh, and I just assumed it was the last 2 episodes. So I was like, Sarah, we got to watch them. They're the last 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So we watch them. And what I thought was the last episode is where Baby Yoda gets captured. And it just like it ends on like, we got to go save him. We're going to assemble a team. I was like, and that was it. I was like, cliffhanger. We'll be back for season 3.
Mm-hmm.
They got to go get him again.
Mm-hmm.
And then a week goes by and I wake up on Friday morning a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I go into Twitter, as I'm wont to do in the mornings, just to look at all the good things happening in the world. And so I go on and it's like, I see Luke Skywalker trending. I was like, oh, that's weird. Why is Luke Skywalker trending? So I click on it and then I see Luke Skywalker in, again, spoilers, Mandalorian. I was like, wait, first of all, there was another episode. And second of all, Luke Skywalker's in it. So
Yeah.
of course I figured it out within 30 seconds and I was like, holy shit. Not only did I realize that was not the last episode, but now I know exactly what happens. So that was fun. I will say I like it still. I didn't enjoy this season as much as the first season for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it has to do with it just kind of became super repetitive. Same thing, go to a different planet, meet some
Hmm.
other people that I need to help, and then we got to save the baby at the end or whatever. So it just
Hmm.
kind of became really repetitive. So um, I don't know where they're going to go. I mean, I don't know. I think it'll be good to kind of keep Yoda out of it, or Baby Yoda out of it, or Grogu, whatever his name is, out of it for a little bit. I don't know if I'm sure he'll come back at some point, but
Hmm.
I'm more interested in it kind of turning back into this man with no name kind of type of Western story. He goes to, he's got something to do every week that doesn't necessarily revolve around Grogu. But I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go. I know Boba Fett is a big part of it now. I also thought it would
Yeah.
have been cool. Last thing for Boba Fett to encounter Luke, like for him to be there too, just so he could be like Boba Fett, Boba Fett. What is this guy doing here? But they didn't go. They didn't go that route. So
No, no. Um, I will say that I think that I actually like season two for some reasons more than season one. I still like season one. I like them both.
mhm.
I think what I've kind of noticed, like the biggest change, is that in season one it seemed to really, obviously it's focusing on Mando, um, but you would have like the recurring characters of Carl Weathers and Gina Carano, like
Mhm.
they would have been in that first season like pretty often. And
Yeah.
in the second season, you had Carl Weathers, who was only in one episode, I believe, and I believe it's the episode he directed.
Yep.
And then Gina Carano, she's in there too, but she's like not really in there, but she's kind of in there. So it's kind of like the characters that you knew from the first season were peripherally or like definitely like lesser characters.
Mhm.
And then they bring in a whole bunch of new characters where it's like, well, are they gonna come back, you know, pay off in some way? Um, I really liked the first episode of the second season, The Marshal, because I thought that was you know, I liked that actor, Timothy Oliphant,
Yeah.
and you know, because he's like known for, you know how like some actors are just known for like playing like these Western type characters, and like he's been in so many Western TV shows, and he played that cowboy gunslinger type in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you know. So it's just kind of continuing on with this motif of his, or this theme of his, right?
Mhm.
Well, and I also like the monster. I like the crate dragon. You know, I like
Mhm.
that they brought that in. They shot that last part in IMAX cameras, so it just looked really big, and it's just like, yeah, this is really fun. Like, I think this is a great way to start it.
Yeah.
But then this is a problem that has existed in Star Wars ever since the beginning. Is the stormtroopers are utterly useless. They just are there to get shot,
Mhm.
and I'm it's the same problem where it's like, well, great, here they come, but it's like I don't feel any kind of sense that anyone's in danger, you know. Those guys
They
are completely useless.
they start to get a little bit more tactical towards the end of season two. They start to get at least like smarter
Sure.
about their planning. Maybe their aim doesn't improve that much, but then, but you're right. It's like so then they have to keep introducing these new, more deadly troopers, like the dark troopers, which sure it can take out humans or even Mandalorians, but the second a Jedi shows up, forget it. It's basically, I mean, it was, yeah, I mean, I know this is intentional, but seeing that scene, which I was fine with, it was cool to see Luke, even if it was CGI. A lot of people are like, this is the Luke that we wanted to see. This is kind of giving back to the fans after a lot of people's unhappiness with his characterization in the Last Jedi or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that was cool. It's fun. The CGI still doesn't look that great.
Yeah, it
But it
was
was
pretty rough.
basically it was like the Vader scene at the end of Rogue One, right? The same exact thing. The doors open, he goes in there and kicks ass, and then saves the day. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I called it the Jedi ex machina, right? he somehow knows where they are and shows up just in time to save everybody, and he's unstoppable.
Yeah.
So again, cool to see him. It just seemed a little easy and convenient, but that's what Disney does, I guess.
The idea that Luke kind of walks in, I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, I like that. I like that he walks in and he does kick everyone's ass. And I think it's like, yeah, that's great.
That is all. I mean, look, we only get like maybe 20 minutes of Luke being a badass in Return of the Jedi, you know.
Yeah.
So people wanted to see more of him just being a complete badass, which I love. I love that idea of it too. We didn't really get it in the new movies, but it's cool to see it. And the fanboy in me enjoyed it, but at the same time, I was like, meh. I mean, that's an easy way to end. That's the easy way to end the season, I guess.
Yeah. I guess I've had a different. I'm just thinking about it a bit differently than I would have a number of years ago. Um, Continuity wise, this is after Jedi, of course. So
About 10 years, right? 10, 15 years or something.
something like that. And so he's obviously trained a bit more. I do kind of wonder though about Boba Fett, but I'll talk about that in just a second. Um, the training that he might have done after the events of Return, like he's obviously super powerful, but it's kind of like, well, why didn't he force choke, kill, whatever, the Rancor, when he's like thrown into the pit and he's just kind of like running around. He's got to throw a rock, and it's like that was their characterization of him in '83.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And then
those powers didn't exist yet, Andrew. Those would come later.
I guess so. It's those kinds of things where it's like you have to kind of forgive how like he could have done something in a newer iteration of Luke, whereas before he was kind of like, oh, I'm just kind of learning this. I mean, he did some acrobatics. I think though that was like the one of the biggest issue that I had with like those prequels was that like they're doing all this crazy stuff, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, did they forget how to do it? Running
Yeah.
fast, jumping from things, and just being like, oh, I'll be fine. I don't know. I just I have to let it go and just be like,
Yeah, but I think too, it's like, and again, not to dwell on this, but again, if to save Luke for the very end, when he could have just, apparently you're telling me he could have just shown up at any point and saved the day. Like, why did he wait to this point? Like, what was it that brought him there finally? Like, why don't you just do that in episode 3? Like, I know that there's a show to be made, but it just seems again like very convenient,
well,
very.
I don't think he showed up because they didn't know that he existed. Like Grogu, had to go on that little altar and like
Is that
his.
that's what called Luke to him?
I feel like the whole point was like, and I really don't know these characters very well, but Asaka
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah, what you got to do here is like take him over to this rock, put him on
It's
the rock.
exactly. That's a good
Uh,
impersonation.
Impersonation, yeah.
So
It's
what you
like,
got to do is take him to this rock, and
see, here's the thing. See, you got to take him to this planet. There's this rock. Now it's a planet. It's really big,
Mhm.
but there's a specific rock, and you put him on top of that rock, and
Butterflies
then
appear, and so on.
right, and then it sends out it's the cell phone reception thing.
Oh, that's
Sends
what
out
that was. You're
a
right. You're right.
message. So I figured like, well, it's taking them their sweet time to like figure, where he is. He was abducted. He was taken away, but it's like, well, it does the see, this is the thing, right? Does the message that he sent make all Jedi in the universe aware,
Right.
like Grogu is here in this exact spot, or
Mhm.
does it just say there's this creature that exists, track him down, find him? Like we don't know if Luke went to that planet and was just
Right.
like, oh, what the hell, crank calling me like they do these kids, and
I
and
was
then
supposed to pick up
he's
some power converters. I was supposed to go to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters. I'm still trying to get those damn power converters.
stupid uncle telling me could spend idle time with my friends later. Well, they're dead, Unc.
Look, it's just
So
one more. It's just one more season, okay?
So I kind of figured that was the thing. I would say this though, in terms of like Luke like cutting people down. I know they're robots. I get it. There was no shortage of people getting shot in the face, or when Boba Fett had his like staff, where he was just slamming people's faces and like ripping them apart with his like weapon.
Hmm.
It's just like, okay. Every time that happened, I was like, this is on Disney.
Hmm.
I was just thinking, like, all right. I mean, to give them credit, like, I don't feel like they were really pulling any punches. They're definitely not less violent than any of the movies were, pre Disney.
Yeah, I mean, these are the people that made the whole Marvel universe, which aren't like, there's a lot of violence, but it's not necessarily realistic violence for the most part. And it's different when
Sure.
you have super people with superpowers beating each other up. You don't feel as bad because you're like, it can't really hurt that much. They have superpowers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
But
to be fair to George Lucas, I don't believe we haven't seen an Anakin getting burned alive
right.
scene. We haven't seen that. We also haven't seen Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru's burnt corpses. We haven't
Mhm.
seen that yet. But give it time. I think it'll
It'll
be in
happen.
there. I mean, I'm hoping,
Hmm.
beyond hope, a new hope, if you will, for that to happen. So, I mean, I'll say in closing for Mandalorian, I would recommend it. I'm very excited to see where it goes.
I really like it. No, I should say I really do like it. I will keep watching season 3. I will keep watching until they make it, or until it gets really bad. Whatever happens first.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm actually very pleased. Mandalorian for me is like, it actually makes me excited to watch Star
yeah,
Wars themed things, and I
and
can't say the last time that happened.
because it's small doses, the effects look really good. The acting's good. The characters are interesting. It's basically a Wild West serial every week. They're in a new town facing a new problem.
Mhm.
There's going to be a happy ending. Everything goes back to where it was at the end.
Yeah.
So it's like it's very digestible, and it's
Mhm.
digestible Star Wars universe stuff, which is nice. And it's Jon Favreau. It's basically Iron Man in the Star Wars galaxy. They can all fly now. There's all these Iron Men flying around. I mean, Mandalorians flying around. Same thing.
All of it. That's great. Why don't we do this? Why don't we close out this episode?
Hey,
Let's close this out. And I still have more to talk about. I think it'd be great. Keep going with something. I'll stop it. We'll come back.
okay.
Cool.
See you in a bit.
Later.